I have to eat my words a little bit. I never expected this day to come when they released Packmaster Shy'ek. Now, if we all remember, Packmaster Shy'ek came out, I don't know, 8 months ago, maybe even further, as a Orc Legendary fusion, and it was pretty exciting. Everyone was like, oh, cool, we're going to have the Packmaster. And then we looked at the champions that would work with it, and it's like, it's all the rare and epics that we would never think about putting into a Hydra team. Packmaster Shy'ek was, at the time, an exceptionally good option for Hydra because of the ability to use the taunt mechanic that still worked. He also had a pretty good turn meter fill here. He also had an AoE block buffs. Where is it? Or is it? I think it was an AoE block buffs. I can't remember exactly what it was. There it is. AoE block buffs as well. A very difficult to acquire debuff at the time on champions that actually had a lot of utility. And he also had this very powerful passive that if he was to place a Hex, then everyone who attacked that target would deal 20% more damage. I put him in a curse set so he could apply a Hex on his basic. It's pretty strong. It was pretty good. Then, of course, we had the dreaded Hydra nukes, and Taunt got destroyed and a bunch of other things. And really the interest was died down. But when this guy came out, there was a big statement from Plarium. They said, hey, don't worry. We know the champions that he's currently paired with are not necessarily the most exciting champions that you would build a team around. We're going to add a new dog in the future. He's going to come out. We're going to add a new character that we can basically put with him. It's all good. And of course, we've had this statement before, and I was like, guys, they're just telling you this. It's not going to happen, right? Not going to happen. They are not going to add another dog. It's just going to be whatever he is. And Packmaster Shy'ek has kind of withered away into this kind of okay guy in the right situation. A1 decreased defense with a Hex might be good if you're trying to do like a one-shot Amius kind of build. He kind of withered away. But this is where I'm eating my words. Today, of course, is the day they've announced a new fusion, and it is the dog that we have all been waiting for. Croad the Throat Ripper. And I think this guy is going to rip a number of throats. This guy looks to be pretty strong. This guy, what am I talking about? This guy, it's a dog. It looks cool. It's a hyena, armored hyena. I mean, you wouldn't want to mess with him. He looks a bit scary. So he's a legendary magic attack champion. But there is one thing we need to keep in mind with this. Hydra right now in the current state that it is in is not exactly the most thrilling game mode for all of the end game players, mid game players. And also, I don't know why they do this. It is quite shocking to me. They always follow up a fusion with something that is just automatically going to beat it. Titus is just stronger. Titus just beats this guy. And I don't really understand why you would be encouraged to do something that is worse. They did this before with Incarnate and Wixwell. They released the Incarnate fusion, which had an A1 provoke that was half the strength, or like one could do 60%. Wixwell before could do 100% A1 provoke. It was very bizarre to me, and I'm like, you're releasing a fusion that is worse right after the fusion that does the same thing. And I think this guy's going to be the same. But let's take a look. Let's look at it objectively. Let's see if we can save Croad the Throat Ripper. We've waited a long time for this guy. Will it bring back the Packmaster? Okay, so what do we got here? We have an attack all enemies. This attack deals single target damage to each target individually rather than AoE damage. Now, why is that important, you ask? Hydra has a passive that reduces AoE damage by quite a lot. If the Suffering Head is out, we're talking 40 to 50% damage reduction on AoE damage. It's always better to have single target damage than AoE damage in Hydra, generally. So that's what this is going to achieve. It's going to attack all enemies, but what it basically means is it's going to go attack 1, single target, attack 2, single target. So even though it's going to hit everyone, it's coded as if it does single target attacks, therefore the penalty will not apply. It's also going to ignore reflect damage, pain link, and ally protection. So pretty much good into every scenario. He's not going to kill himself. That's obviously some of the problems you can have if you're on a Teox team. He counterattacks into reflect damage. He's dead. Nothing you can do. Forces you to bring block buffs. So pretty cool. This attack deals double damage when counterattacking if Packmaster Shy'ek is on the team. So what that works well with is his passive. Packmaster Shy'ek, if he's attacked, will effectively counterattack. Okay, cool. So this guy is going to counterattack when someone attacks Packmaster Shy'ek. Majority of Hydra is AoE, so that's kind of cool. Now the A1 is a joint attack, so it's not going to work with the joint attack from Packmaster, but the AoE is still going to be strong, so could be quite good. Double damage on a single target AoE, it's very strong already. Okay, then we got a Basically a 3-turn cooldown when booked, attacks all enemies, places an extra hit on enemies under 2 or more debuffs. Pretty much, like, you're always going to have 2 or more debuffs in Hydra. That's going to happen. He has a 75% chance of placing Leech and Weaken, and they can't be resisted if Packmaster's on the team. So if you bring Packmaster, it's not required. Now, anytime you see the word extra hit, always assume double damage. Because what they tend to do when you set up an extra hit, this has always been the trend since day one, if you have this extra conditional hit, that damage is always assuming you're never going to get the conditional hit. So what they will do is they will code that damage and then you will get twice the amount. So any champion that ever does an extra hit with a condition is always doing quite a lot of damage. Phenax A1 is a classic example. Constantine A1, classic example. These champions do conditional extra hits. They hit extremely hard. This will probably be a very, very strong damage dealing ability, just whether or not it's strong enough. Then Dominant Predator attacks one enemy on a 3-turn cooldown, will ignore 50% of the target's defense, as well as life barrier and poison clouds. Okay, so this is really good. If you don't manage to get, like, you know, burns, or if you don't have burns in your team, you don't manage to get block buffs out, and the poison head has put poison cloud out, you can pretty much hit it and try to kill it really quickly. Awesome. It also ignores effects that redirect attacks. So I assume it ignores the mischief head, so you can target the mischief head without needing hex, damage, or debuffs to another target. I don't really understand the debuffs because he's already ignoring most things. But there you go. Repeats this attack once if Packmaster Shy'ek is on the team. So repeat attack is the same as an extra hit. You're going to do double the damage. So pretty much if Packmaster's on the team, this entire attack, you know, he's going to do the Fester and Joy he's going to do regardless of Packmaster, but Packmaster's going to double his damage on his A1 and his A3. It's very strong so far. Increases this champion's attack by 5% when killing an enemy or decapitating a Hydra head. Increases this champion's attack by 10% when killing an enemy or decapitating a Hydra head. Now, kudos to Plarium. They've learned the mistake of this. If you're going to release a champion that you want to be traditionally Hydra, don't force it exclusively. This passive would be absolutely useless if it was just decapitating a Hydra head. We have some relics in the game that is all about decapitating Hydra heads. They're not that good. So he will get this bonus if he kills anyone. So he's useful outside of Hydra. Faction Wars hard mode, which is quite hard at the moment. That's a good shout. He also instantly activates his A3 against a Hydra head when an ally is consumed if Packmaster's on the team. So this is actually really good for getting consumption cleared quickly. He's going to go, okay, say like Packmaster's eaten, Packmaster goes in. He instantly attacks that target, double hits because Packmaster's on the team, and it gets him out probably really quickly. So your uptime without consumption is going to be extremely high. 30% all rate in all battles. Magic is a pretty good affinity. There's not really any bad or good affinities in Hydra. It just depends on the rotation. Honestly, overall, I think he's going to hit extremely hard. My gut tells me, all my experience knowing how damage is calculated in this game, he's going to hit extremely hard. His strongest ability will probably be the A1 and the A3. The A2, because it is an AoE, will be punished, so you won't get as much value out of the double hit, but it will still be strong. The question is, okay, Packmaster gives him a lot. We get double damage A1, double damage A3, we get unresistible debuffs, so we don't have to run accuracy, and he also will get 50% attack instead of 25% attack when head is decapitated, right? That's a lot of extra attack. The question really becomes then, what does Packmaster give him from Packmaster's kit? So let's have a look. Packmaster will place a decreased defense on the A1. Then he teams up with any ally. So I'm assuming they're going to, anything that has one of these dogs right now, they're going to add the new guy. Okay, I'm assuming they're going to do that. Makes a safe assumption. So teams up with Terror Beast, Goremass. The attack will use the default skills. So anytime Packmaster A1s, you're going to get an AoE single target hit. That's going to deal double damage. That's very high DPS, right? Or DPT, as I like to call it, damage per turn. Very high damage per turn. Because you're going to be going A1, boom, A1, boom. Okay, what about the A2? So we're going to place a shield. The shield is equal to surplus. The shield can be removed, stolen, or transferred if at least one. Now, that's kind of useless because it just makes his shield stronger. So that's kind of useless. Doesn't help the dog at all. And I don't really think it's that important either. Finally, place a taunt and a reflect damage on this champion for 2 turns. These buffs cannot be removed, stolen, or transferred. Now, what I will say is if you're trying to force this guy to be the mischief target, having the new dog on your team will mean that you don't need to run resistance to stop these buffs from being stolen because they're protected. That's useful. On the A3, this debuff cannot be resisted at least. So I guess what the dog gives Packmaster is no need for resistance or accuracy, because you're going to be able to place block buffs without accuracy. You're going to protect all of your buffs here. They'll never be removed. You will need it for the A1. Kind of annoying, right? Really, it would have been great if this also didn't need accuracy, but it's still good. What about the passive here? When this champion is attacked, they will counterattack. So overall, what are you getting? The Packmaster is going to give your ally, the new fusion, double damage across the board. He's going to not require him to have accuracy. And the dog being on the team with Packmaster means Packmaster doesn't need resistance. And if you don't care about decreased defense on an A1, probably doesn't need accuracy either. You can build him to have more speed, all sorts of various different things. Now, you will need it for this, potentially, but I prefer to run him in a curse set anyway. But if you want this, you probably will need accuracy because this will be resisted. So the lack of accuracy is a bit 50-50. You definitely don't need to run resistance with him. Overall, looks good. Where do I rate him? Do you care about Hydra? If you're in the need for a Hydra champion, it feels like a no-brainer. If you don't really care about Hydra and you've got your tightest team and your trender team, I don't really see where he fits beyond like an auto key. He probably will run a nice auto key because he's got a consistent damage output. Pretty good in faction hard wars, I would say, like for the faction wars. So yeah, I think definitely he's worth a pickup. I think his damage is going to be high without actually having the ability to test him, just by how I know how damage is constructed. I think with him, it will be pretty good. If you don't have the Packmaster, I think there's another question you have to ask yourself. Is he good on his own? I would say he loses a lot of potency without the Packmaster. He's probably going to lose half the damage he can deal without the Packmaster. He's going to lose that 25% passive. He's going to lose double damage on his A1 and his A3, and he's going to need accuracy. It's a lot harder to sell without Packmaster. But maybe a lot of you have Packmaster. Let me know in the comments below, guys. Are you now finally excited to get the dog that we were all promised, or is he a bit of a letdown? Where are you all at with Hydra at the moment? I'm a bit disinterested. The tightest thing kind of just is a bit of another nail in the coffin of we don't care about Hydra. We're just going to put an OP champion in the game. I don't know. I'm going to pick the guy up because I love doing fusions. I think every champion has a place in the game in some capacity. You can always do fun things with him. I will probably be picking it up, but I would love to hear from everyone else what you think. Let me know in the comments below, guys. I'll catch you in the next video.